last few weeks we couldn't have class. We'll continue the fourth canto, fifth chapter. Frustration of the sacrifice of Daksha. I'll just summarize what we discussed so far and then we'll continue. So in this particular chapter, begins with Lord Shiva heard from Narada Muni that Sati gave up her life because of the insult of Daksha, and the soldiers who were sent by Lord Shiva, they had been driven by the Ribu demigods, Ribu Devatas, who were created by Bhrigu Muni. So when Lord Shiva heard, he became very angry. So then Lord Shiva, in his anger, he immediately snatched a hair from his head, and then that was blazing like a fire, and he was laughing like a madman, and dashed that hair to the ground. And from that hair, a black demon, was very fiery looking demon, he appeared from that. His teeth was very fearful, hairs on his head were burning fire, and he had thousands of arms, and he was garlanded with the heads of men. And that gigantic demon asked Lord Shiva, "What can I do for you?" Lord Shiva said that because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all of my associates. Kill Daksha and the soldiers at the sacrifice. And then the Veerabhadra, that black person, he was prepared to execute the orders of Lord Shiva, and then circumambulated Lord Shiva, and then immediately went there. And many soldiers of Lord Shiva also followed him. Veerabhadra was carrying a trident, fearful enough to kill even the death. Fearful enough to even kill death personified. So then Veerabhadra along with the soldiers of Lord Shiva, when they came to Daksha Prajapati sacrificial arena, the priests and others, they saw that suddenly a darkness has come all over. And they could understand, they also saw that suddenly there is a dust storm which is raised, and all of them became greatly anxious. So at that time, they all started conjecturing about what is the cause of this dust storm and darkness. There is no wind blowing, no cows are passing, or we don't see any gang of thieves going, because right now the king Prachina Parishad is ruling properly. The absence of a king, sometimes the thieves create disturbance. So where is this dust coming from? Is it a time of Pralaya? Like that they were actually discussing. So at that time, Prasuti, the wife of Shiva, she started speaking. So we'll start from this verse, 9th shloka. Somebody can repeat after me. Prasuti Mishra Striya Udvigna Chitta. Somebody can repeat. Prasuti Mishra Striya Udvigna Chitta.
Prasuti Mishra Striya Udvigna Chitta.
Uchur Vipako Vrijinasyaiva Tasya.
Uchur Vipako Vrijinasya Syava Tasya.
Yat Pashyanti Nam दुहितृणां प्रजेश
Yat pashyantinam druyitrinam prajeshaha
सुतां सतीम् अवदद्यावनागाम्
tutam satim avadatyava nagam. Prasuti, the wife of Daksha, along with other women assembled, became very anxious and said, "This danger has been created by Daksha because of the death of Sati, who, even though completely innocent, quit her body as her sisters looked on."
प्रसूति मिश्रा स्त्रियः, the women headed by Prasuti, the wives of Daksha headed by Prasuti, and they had Udvigna Chitta. They had very anxious hearts. Their hearts were very disturbed. Uchuhu, they spoke. What did they say? That Vrijinasyaiva Vipakaha. Or Vipakaha means this danger. Vrijinasyaiva Tasya. Tasya Vrijinasyaiva Vipakaha. Whatever danger we are seeing, Tasya here it is referring to Daksha. It is because of the Daksha sinful activity. Vrijina means sinful activity. Vipaka, the result of this is nothing. This because of the Daksha's sinful activity. This is the result of Daksha's sin. And then they elaborated that. What is the sin? Yat pashyantinam duhitrinam prajeshaha sutam satim avadadya vanagam. Duhitrinam, while her sisters watched, Pashyantinam Duhitrinam. When the sisters of Sati were watching, Prajesha, that means Daksha, what did you do? Avadadyav. Avadadyav, insulted. Insulted Sati, who is Anagam, who is completely innocent. He insulted Sati, his daughter, Sutam, who was completely innocent. Not only Daksha offended her, but Daksha did so in the presence of her sisters. And moreover, Sati was innocent. Normally, if you have to correct somebody, you don't correct in the public, you do privately. But he insulted Sati in the presence of everyone and she was innocent. Therefore, Daksha committed an offense. This is the result of Daksha's offense. And then the next two shlokas, they say that the powers of Daksha cannot defeat Shiva's power. Daksha may be powerful, but his powers cannot defeat Lord Shiva. There's a sound coming. So we see that Daksha Prajapati was hard-hearted, but Prasuti was a soft-hearted woman. She could immediately understand that what is the cause of the danger. It's because of the impious activity of the hard-hearted Daksha Prajapati. So you can just imagine somebody in front of his eyes, his youngest daughter was committing suicide, but Daksha Prajapati did not make an attempt to stop Sati from committing suicide. That was the extent of his enmity towards Lord Shiva. That inimical feeling was that inimical feeling was so strong that he was ready to tolerate to see his own daughter dying in front of him. So Sati's mother could understand how much Sati had been pained by the insult of her father. So this consideration convinced the wife of Daksha of the danger which was now ahead. She could understand it is because of the Lord Shiva has become angry and Lord Shiva has sent his people. And she could understand that Daksha's powers cannot stand in front of Lord Shiva's powers. Next two shlokas, Prasuti describes the power of Lord Shiva. यस्त्वन्तकाले व्युक्तजटाकलापः
यस्त्वन्तकाले व्युक्तजटाकलापः
स्वशूलसूच्यर्पितदिग्गजेन्द्रः
स्वशूलसूच्यर्पितदिग्गजेन्द्रः
वितत्य नृत्यत् उदितास्त्रदोर्ध्वजान्
वितत्य नृत्यत् उदितार्तस्रोदोर्ध्वजा
उच्चाट्टहासस्तनयित्नुभिन्नदिक्
उच्चाष्टहासस्तनयित्नुभिन्नदिक्. At the time of dissolution, Lord Shiva's hair is scattered and he pierces the rulers of the different directions with his trident. He laughs and dances proudly, scattering their hands like flax, as thunder scatters the clouds all over the world.
So she is describing Yastu Antakale at the time of dissolution. Vyukta Jata Kalapaha with scattered locks of hair. And Swashula, Shula is a trident. Swashula Suchyarpita Dik Gajendraha. So Dik Gajendraha means the rulers of the different directions. So with his piercing with the scattered locks, with the scattered locks of hair, and Such Arpita Dik Gajendra means piercing the Dik Gajendra is the directions. Piercing the directions with his trident, Swashula. And then Uditastra Dor Dvajan. Uditastra Dor Dvajan, waving his flag-like arms. Dvaja means the flag. Waving his flag-like arms. And Udita Astra, holding upraised weapons. And Ucha Attahasa. Attahasa means loud laughter. Ucha Attahasa Stanayutnu Binnadik, breaking the directions by the roar of his loud laughter. What does Lord Shiva do? Nrityati. Lord Shiva dances at the time of the universal destruction. To tell that powers of Daksha cannot defeat Shiva, that is explained in these two shloka. So Lord Shiva's as a Devata, his main services at the time of dissolution. So today we are going through one shloka, second canto, 7th chapter. Brahmaji is explaining that at the time of creation, the principle which is prominent is tapasya. And the people who play the prominent role during creation is Brahma, the different Prajapatis, Sapta Rishis, the different Rishis, etc. At the time of maintenance, the prominent principle for maintenance, to carry out the maintenance, is dharma. And the different people who play the important role during maintenance is Vishnu and different devatas, Manu, etc. Manu Putras. At the time of annihilation, the important principle which will be working is adharma. And the important persons who play the role is Lord Shiva. So this is the Lord Shiva's Tandava Nritya during the time of Pralaya. There is a beautiful, few months back I had gone to one place, Chidambaram in Tamil Nadu. So if at all you get a chance, you must go visit that place. So there is a famous politician also by the name, but Chidambaram, very ancient place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited, and very ancient temple of Lord Shiva, Nataraja is there. And there is also the same, within the same temple premise, there is a Divya Desham, Govinda Raja Swami Divya Desham is there. The Nataraja temple, there is one Murti of Lord Shiva. Practically one leg is almost 180 on the top. His dancing posture. One leg is on the top, bottom, and one leg is almost 180 on the top, actually. That kind of one beautiful Murti is there. So Lord Shiva's Tandavan Nritya. Next shloka. So Prabhupada says that Prasuti, who appreciated the power and strength of her son-in-law, Lord Shiva, is describing what he does at the time of dissolution. So this indicates the strength of Lord Shiva is so great that Daksha's power cannot be compared to it. So Lord Shiva dances just as the clouds are scattered over all directions in order to plunge the different planets into incessant torrents of rain. So that dance is called the Pralaya dance, Tandava Nritya. Prasuti could understand the dangers ahead resulted not only from Daksha's having neglected her daughter, but also because of neglecting the prestige and honor of Lord Shiva. So we can see Daksha, because his intelligence was so covered by that envy, he didn't. He underestimated the power of Lord Shiva. He was only seeing Lord Shiva from the point of view of his son-in-law, and he didn't respect me. He completely underestimated. People become blinded sometimes because of certain prestige or envy or karma or krodha. One becomes blinded, and one underestimates, or one doesn't understand the power of the opposite party. Next shloka. Amarshayitva tamasahya tejasam
अमर्षयित्वा तमशय तेजसं
manyuplutam durnirishyam brukutya
मन्युप्लुतं दुर्निरीक्ष्यं भ्रुकुत्वा भ्रुकुत्या
करालदंष्ट्राभिरुदस्तभागणम्
करालदंस्ताभिरुदस्तभाग्नं
स्यात् स्वस्ति किं कोपयतो विधातुः.
स्यात् स्वस्ति किं कोपयतो विधातुः. Translation. The gigantic black man bared his fearful teeth. By the movements of his brows he scattered the luminaries all over the sky, and he covered them with his strong, piercing effulgence Because of the misbehavior of Daksha, even Lord Brahma, Daksha's father, could not have been saved from the great exhibition of anger.
Amarshayitva, after angering Lord Shiva, Asahya Tejasam, Manyuplutam, Asahya Tejasam, having a terrifying appearance, and or Asahya Tejasam means with an unbearable effulgence, with a great unbearable effulgence. And Manyuplutam Durnirikshyam Brukutya, who has intolerable strength. Manyuplutam, great anger. Karala Damshtrabir Udasta Bhaganam, who scatters the planets by his frown and protruding teeth. How can a person, even Vidatu Brahma, how can even Brahma Syat Swasti Kim Kopayatu? After angering a personality like Lord Shiva, who has such a terrifying appearance, who has intolerable strength, Durnirikshyam, it's very difficult to look at Lord Shiva, for such a great anger. How can a person, even Lord Brahma, after angering Lord Shiva, how can a person have good fortune? So, having angered Lord Shiva, who scattered the luminaries like the fire and sun, how can a person have good fortune? Even if Brahma, the father of Daksha, angers Shiva, what to speak of others? So Prasuti is saying that because of Daksha's cruelty, we have also fallen into the greatest danger. You see that when one person commits a mistake or offense, people close to that, associated with them, they also fall into danger. Next shloka. Bhakvevam udvigna drishocyamane.
बह्वे बह्वेवमुद्विग्न दिशोच्यमाने
जनेन दक्षस्य मुहुर्महात्मनः
जनेन दक्षस्य मुहुर्महात्मनः
उत्पेतुरुत्पाततमासहस्रशो
सहस्रशो
भयावह दिवि भूमौ च पर्यक्
भयावह दिवि भूमौ च पर्यक्. Translate. While all the people talked amongst themselves, Daksha saw dangerous omens from all sides, from the earth and from the sky.
So, Bahu Evam, many people were talking. Udvigna Drishochyamane. Well, people were continuously speaking in that way, with a disturbed minds, with anxious hearts. So, at that time, Sahasrasha, thousands of great disturbances, Utpata Tama, which were frightening Janena Dakshasya Muhur Mahatmana, which were frightening even to the Mahatmana, sober-minded Daksha. Here the word Mahatmana is used to refer to Daksha. Thousands of great disturbances, frightening even to the sober-minded Daksha, Mahatmana Daksha, appeared in the Divi Bhumaucha Paryak, the sky, on the earth, and Paryak all around. Bhayavaha means frightening. So this is an interesting point here. In the shloka, Daksha is called by the word Mahatmana. Mahatmana Prabhupada translates as strong-hearted in the word-to-word translation. So the people who are saying, assembled people who are speaking, oh mothers, you are all speaking the truth. The women are frightening even for Daksha, who is a Mahatma, who is sober-minded or who is strong-hearted. How can they address Daksha as Mahatma? Vishwanath Chakravarti says that actually they are sarcastically using the word Mahatma. What they mean is that Daksha is actually evil-minded. But sarcastically they are using the word Mahatma. And other acharyas like Veeraragava Acharya, they say that Mahatma means steady in heart. Steady heart in heart means you can say hard-hearted. Daksha was so strong-hearted or hard-hearted, even when in front of his eyes, when his daughter was about to die, he was steady and unshaken. But even such a person, Daksha, became frightened when he saw the various disturbances. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that actually here the Mahatma means he is actually evil-minded, but sarcastically they are using the word Mahatma because a Mahatma can be recognized only by seeing the symptoms of a Mahatma which we see in the Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashrita bhajantyananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. Mahatma is somebody who has completely taken shelter of the internal energy of Krishna, Srimati Radharani, Lakshmi Devi. Our Mahatma is described as Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Somebody who understands Vasudeva to be all in all and surrenders to Lord Krishna after many, many births, he is considered to be a Mahatma. Such a person is very rare. A Mahatma is supposed to have all the good qualities of the Devatas. But Daksha is lacking those qualities, so how can he be a Mahatma? He is fit to be called as a Duratma. So it is used sarcastically here. In another Niti Shataka Shloka, it is described who is a Mahatma, who is a Duratma. Mahatma is somebody whose mind, body and words are same. What he has in the mind, he will speak and he will perform the same action. Manasyekam vachasyekam karmanyekam mahatmanah manasyata vachasyata karmanyata duratmanah. Duratma is a person who will think something, will speak something else and act something else. So one thing we see here that how the Vaishnava aparad can make a person so hard-hearted. Can make a person so hard-hearted that Daksha Prajapati was not perturbed when his daughter was committing suicide in front of his eyes. He didn't make any attempt to stop. That is how Vaishnava aparad can make a person so hard-hearted. On the other hand, Vaishnava seva, bhakti, can make a person so soft-hearted. Mrigari was a hunter who was half killing the animals. To half kill the animals would die after experiencing lot of pain. The animals would die. So that requires really hard-heartedness to see animals die in that fashion. But when that Mrigari got the association of Narada Muni, when he started following the instructions of Narada Muni, Mrigari became so soft-hearted. Next time when Narada Muni came along with Parvata Muni, Mrigari was so conscious that he noticed certain ants in the path. He was so conscious that Narada Muni should not step on those hands. He was trying to protect those hands. That is how the Vaishnava Seva, devotional service, transformed a hard-hearted person to such a soft-hearted person. On the other hand, Vaishnava Aparad had made Daksha into such a hard-hearted person. Mahatmana. Next shloka. तावत्सरुद्रानुचरैर्महामको
तावत्सरुद्रानुचरैर्महामखो
नानायुधैर्वामनकैरुदायुधैः
नानायुधैर्वामनाकैः उदायुधैः
पिङ्गैः पिशङ्गैर्मकरोदराननैः
लिङ्गैः पिशङ्गैर्मकरोदराननैः
पर्याद्रवद्भिर्विदुरान् वरुध्यत
पर्याद्रवद्भिर्विदुरान् वरुध्यत. My dear Vidura, all the followers of Lord Shiva surrounded the arena of sacrifice. They were of short stature and were equipped with various kinds of weapons. Their bodies appeared to be like those of sharks, blackish and yellowish. They ran all around the sacrificial arena and thus began to create disturbances.
So further, Maitreya is continuing. O Vidura, Rudra Anucharaihi, that means Shiva's associates. So Veerabhadra, Tavat Saha, Saha referring to Veerabhadra, or Veerabhadra, along with the followers of Lord Shiva, who were Vamanakair, who were short, and Pingai Pishangai, who are reddish and yellowish. Pishangai is the yellow and Pingai is the reddish. Who are reddish and yellowish, or blackish and yellowish. And with Makara Udara Ananaihi, they had faces and bellies. Makara Udara Ananaihi. Udara is the belly, Anana is the face. They had faces and bellies like the Makaras. And Udayudai, holding various weapons. Nana Yudai, holding various weapons. And they were running here and there. Pariya Dravadbir. And they, Viduran Avarudyata, they surrounded the sacrificial arena. I'll go. And then Kechit Bhavanju Pragvamsham Patni Shalam Tatapare Sada Agnidra Shalam Cha. Kechit, some of the associates, they broke the beams, Bhavanju, while others destroyed the women's quarters. Pragvamsha means the wooden beams running east to west, resting upon the pillars. Basically, they are going to destroy the entire sacrificial arena that is being described. The beams in which the sacrificial arena was erected, they broke that. They destroyed the women's quarters, Patni Shalam, Tatapare, and the assembly hall, the kindling house, Agnidra Shalam. Agnidra Shalam is the kindling house, and the sponsors' quarters. There's a Yajamana's quarters, and the kitchen. All these things were destroyed. And then Rurujur Yagya Patrani Tataike Agnin Anashayan. They broke the Yagya Patra, the sacrificial vessels. Agnin Anashayan, extinguished the fire. Kundeshu Amutrayan, they urinated in the sacrificial pits, the Agni Kunda. Bibidur Vedi Mekalaha. Bibidur means they tore up. Vedi Mekala, they tore up the earthwork around the fire pits. There are different Vedis are made, Yajna Vedis, they tore up that. Abadanta Munin Anye, Yeke Patnir Atarchayan, Apare Jagruhur Devan, Pratyasannan Palayitan. So they harassed the sages while others shouted at the women. Others, Jagruhur Devan, caught the Devatas who had fled nearby. So you can see that definitely the anger is little excess exhibition of anger. You will also see the purports of this one. But what we can see, when you actually when you agitate a person, when a person who is actually capable, when such a person is agitated to become angry, then this is what the damage happens. The soldiers of Lord Shiva became very angry, and then so all these followers are doing. Brugum Babanda Maniman. So we see now the next few verses is described that not only Daksha, even the persons who assisted Daksha, they were also punished. So when a person commits a Vaishnava aparadh, not only that particular person, and those who don't, those who keep quiet without, those who keep quiet without expressing their displeasure or without expressing how they don't agree with that, or those who encourage that Vaishnava aparadh, directly or indirectly, all of them get implicated in it. So Shastras say that a Brahmana should debate with the person who is actually committing Vaishnava aparadha or who is speaking against Dharma. Kshatriya should react by physically punishing that person. And then if somebody is unable to do, one should leave that place. So one of the way in the current times, we can actually express our displeasure or disapproval for those who speak against Dharma is by voting, actually. Although it appears the democracy has its own flaws, but at least we can express our disapproval for those who speak against Dharma by exercising our voting rights. That one should not be callous or be indifferent to that. Sadly, sometimes the people. Yesterday, 2 days back, I was speaking with somebody here in UP. Simple driver, he was telling about his family. So in his family, typical UP village family, he said there are 5 brothers and I think 3 or 4 daughters. So he said they are very pious people. He said 5 brothers. The grandfather named all those grandsons in the name of Lord Shiva. Kripa Shankar, Uma Shankar, Jata Shankar, Shiva Shankar, and Muni Shankar. So, grandfather is a devotee of Lord Shiva. He named all those grandsons in the name of Lord Shiva. And he said his father is a very pious person. He made the Radha Krishna temple in the village. They are worshipping Radha Krishna. So, like that. And he said in his village, his family still is a joint family. He said for every day, for 27 people in single chula, the same chula, they prepare the food. They prepare the like bhojan for all the 27 people. So pious people, but so I asked about election voting. So he said, but he said his father votes for the SAPA, Samajwadi Party, because they belong to the Yadav community, and because he feels that Akhilesh Yadav is also Yadav, so therefore they vote for Yadav. He said, in my family, only I myself vote for the BJP, like that. So I was thinking that how sometimes people, they may worship Krishna, but they don't have proper discrimination about who supports the Krishna Dharma and who is against the Krishna Dharma. So that how the Jati Vad is also very prominent, despite having Radha Krishna worship, traditional family, joint family, so many family values are present. But their idea is that, oh, this politician belongs to the same caste. They may not see how they support the Muslims or something, but the Jativad is very prominent. So here, the next shloka, why I'm mentioning that when we knowingly or unknowingly support those who are the side of adharma, or those who commit Vaishnava aparad, then they also get implicated in that aparad actually. They will also get the reaction. And that is what we are going to see the next shlokas. So therefore, if a person remains neutral in voting or somebody votes for the wrong party, they will also get implicated. Whomever they vote, whatever decisions they make, they also get implicated in that. So it is explained that Brugum Babanda Maniman Veerabhadra Prajapatim Chandesha Pushanam Devam Bhagam Nandishwaro Grahit. So Maniman, that plate you can take it back. So Maniman tied up Brugumuni, and Veerabhadra tied up Daksha, Chandesha tied up Pusha, Nandishwara tied up Bhaga. So each of them took some associate of Daksha. Sarva eva ritvijo drishtva sadasyasu divaukasaha thairardyamana subrusham gravabir naikadadravan. So it's explained that there was, after seeing this, all the priests, Sarva eva ritvijo, all the priests and the Sadasya, the guests and the Devatas, afflicted greatly by the stones thrown at them. Thairardyamana subrusham, they could not flee in a group. Juhvata Sruvahastasya Smashruni Bhagavan Bayaha Brugor Lulunche Sadasi Yohasat Smashru Darshayan. Veerabhadra, he tore off the mustache of Brugumuni. Why he tore the mustache of Brugumuni? Because when Daksha Prajapati insulted Shiva, Brugumuni had smiled and he showed his mustache by smiling. So therefore, Bhrugumuni's mustache was tore apart by Veerabhadra. Bhagasya netre Bhagavan patitasya rusha bhuvi ujjahara sadastakshna yashapantam ashu suchat. Veerabhadra pulled out the eyes of Bhaga because Bhaga had encouraged Daksha by the movement of his eyebrows in the assembly. Bhaga had glanced at Daksha, and by his glance he encouraged Daksha. We can see even the small act of smiling or glancing with the intention to encourage that aparad committed by Daksha to Shiva, they got implicated in the reaction. Pushno apatya dantan kalingase yata balaha shapyamane garimani yogasat darshayandata. Veerabhadra made Pusha's teeth fall out. And there's an analogy given. Kalingasya yata balaha. Just as Balaram made the king of Kalinga's teeth fall out. So Pusha had smiled, showing his teeth when Shiva was being rebuked by Lord Shiva, by Daksha. So here there is an interesting purport because there is a comparison given. Just like Baladev knocked out the teeth of Dantavakra, the king of Kalinga, during the gambling match at the marriage of Aniruddha, Veerabhadra knocked out the teeth of both Daksha and Pusha, who had smiled when Daksha had offended Lord Shiva. So you know that Balaram ji, at the time of Aniruddha's marriage, there was a gambling match. At that time, Kalinga, he laughed at Balaram. At that time, Balaram ji did the instant removal of the teeth, actually. He made the teeth of King Kalinga fall out. And Veerabhadra, similarly, Veerabhadra made the Pusha's teeth fall out. So Prabhupada says that generally during the marriage of, when you see the marriages of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, when you observe, nowadays I don't know, but previously there will be slight difference will be there in the marriages of the Brahmana community, at least previously. There will be lot of mantras would be chanted. The rituals would be more. But in the Kshatriya marriages or Vaishya marriages, it would be less. Maybe other things. Exhibition of the opulences would be more maybe in the Vaishya marriages. Exhibition of the powers would be more in Kshatriya marriages. In the Brahmana, this one, there is different culture. The chanting of the mantras would be more. So Prabhupada talks about one aspect of the Kshatriya marriages. So Balramji, there was the Kshatriya marriage, Aniruddha's marriage. There was all the different Kshatriyas had assembled, and there was a gambling match. And Kalinga had laughed, and then Balramji immediately pulled out the teeth of Kalinga. And Prabhupada says that, and then there was a fight ensued among the Kshatriyas. And he says that this sort of fight was very common, especially among the marriage ceremonies in Kshatriya marriages. It would happen in a challenging spirit. In that challenging spirit, a fight was sure to occur, and in such fights, there was commonly killing and misfortune. But after finishing such fighting, all the parties would come to a compromise and everything would be settled also fast. So then Prabhupada says that Daksha Yajna is also similar to such events. Now when we are reading this chapter, all of them, Daksha, the demigods, Bhaga, Pusha, Bhrigumuni, they were all punished by the soldiers of Lord Shiva. But later we would see in the next chapter, everything would come to a peaceful end. Next chapter we will see. So this spirit of fighting between one another was not exactly inimical, because everyone was so powerful and wanted to show his strength by Vedic mantra or by mystic power. So all these fighting skills were very elaborately exhibited by the different parties at the Daksha Yajna. So in that way, this analogy was explained by Prabhupada. Just like the marriage of Aniruddha, Balramji pulled out Kalinga's teeth. Here Veerabhadra is pulling out the Pusha's teeth. And then, so now Pusha is done. Bhaga, Pusha was punished. Bhrigu Muni's mustache is tore apart. Bhaga's eyes were pulled out. and Pusha's teeth were taken. Now the fourth personality, the main personality, who? Daksha. So what happened to Daksha? Akromyarasi Dakshasya Shitadarena Hetina Chindan Apitad Uddartum Nashakno Trayambakastada. So Veerabhadra was sitting on the chest of Daksha, though trying to cut off his head with a sharp sword. In the case of Daksha, it is not that simply plucking out the eyes or teeth or something. Veerabhadra wanted to cut off the head of Daksha. He took a sharp sword, Shitidarena, but he was trying to cut off the head of Daksha, but he couldn't actually cut off his head. And then what did he do? Shastrair Astranvitair evam Anirbinna Twacham Haraha Vismayan Paramapanno Datyau Pashupatischiram. When he saw that Daksha's skin could not be cut by swords or throwing weapons, Veerabhadra became perplexed. Vismayan Paramapanno. Dadyau Pashupatis Chiram. Chiram, for a long time, he thought for a long time how to cut off the head of Daksha. He was thought for a long time. And then he saw that Drishtva Sanyapanam Yogam Pashunamsa Patirmake Yajamana Pashokasya Kaya Tena Harat Shiraha. And then he saw a device in the sacrificial arena which would be used for cutting off the head of the animal. And he took the device, and with that device he cut off the head of Daksha, because Daksha had practically behaved as an animalistic person. So he saw that Daksha can be cut only with the device which is meant for killing an animal. So he cut off the head of Daksha. So then Sadhuvadas tada tesham karma tattasya pashyatam bhuta preta pishachanam anvesham tat viparyavaha. So seeing the Veerabhadra's action, the ghosts and demons expressed their satisfaction while others expressed grief. And then Veerabhadra took that head and then threw it in the southern fire called as Dakshinagni. So there are different types of fire in the sacrifice. We will discuss in some other class. Dakshinagni. In the southern direction there is a fire. In that fire he threw that head. Then setting the sacrificial arena on fire, Tad Deva Yajanam Dagdva, he then departed for Kailash. So the followers of Lord Shiva completely destroyed the sacrifice of Lord Shiva. So Prabhupada says that in this connection it is to be noted that the device used for killing animals was not designed to facilitate eating their flesh. It was meant to do an animal sacrifice, and animals would be given a new life. They would get a new body because animals were sacrificed to test the strength of the Vedic mantras. And yajnas were performed as a test of the mantra. So even in the modern age, recently I was speaking to one surgeon. He said he came for some conference or some training in Bombay. And he told that in the training, he was taken to a laboratory where the animals were given certain medicines, and the training was given on the body of certain animals. But he didn't like it and he returned actually. So even the modern age, the tests are executed on the animal bodies in the physiology laboratory. So whether or not the Brahmanas were uttering the Vedic hymns correctly, it was tested with a sacrifice in the arena. On the whole, the animals that sacrificed were not at all the losers. Some old animals would be sacrificed, but in exchange for their old body, they received other new bodies. So Veerabhadra beheaded Daksha to the astonishment of everyone. In this way, Virabhadra, after beheading Daksha, he threw the head of Daksha in the Dakshinagni and then he left the place. With this, we come to the end of the 5th chapter, and then we will begin the 6th chapter next week. Very interesting. After this, Daksha is killed. What are the events? There are 2 more chapters in the Daksha Yajna, 6th and 7th chapter. Very profound. We'll see in the future. Anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you were telling that the statement where it is mentioned that Daksha is a sober person. It is being told sarcastically. But how to understand it? Because when we read the statement, we will be wondering how can Daksha be a sober person? But we will not understand that it is being spoken sarcastically. How to understand that deeper this thing for that? How can we know that?
Yeah. As well, Shastras have to be understood through the help of the living persons. Otherwise, we can misunderstand. It is said the Shastras are like a dense forest. In a dense forest, you need the help of a person to reach a particular place. Otherwise, you can get lost even in the dense forest. Bahushastre Bahuvakya Chitte Brahma Hoy. Sadhya Sadhana Hoy Na Hoy Nirchay. Tapan Mishra says that after reading many Shastras, many commentaries, my mind Chitte Brahma Hoy. My mind has become bewildered. I'm not able to ascertain what is the goal, and now I'm not able to ascertain what is the sadhana. Therefore, it is important. Today also we're discussing Bhagavatam 2nd canto. Brahmaji is describing the Leela-avataras of Krishna. Leela-avataras, when he describes the Krishna avatara, 2nd canto, 7th chapter, 26th shloka. So, Krishna avatara is described as, in that verse, literally it can mean that Krishna and Balaram are the incarnations of the hair of Shirodakshai Vishnu. That verse can be interpreted like that. Literally, it can mean that. And there are other shlokas in Vishnu Purana and Mahabharata in which it is mentioned that Krishna and Balaram are the incarnations of the hair of Shirodakshai Vishnu. But then if we take this meaning, it would contradict other statements. What are the other statements? That means the Sita Krishna Kesha, that is the word which comes. Shirodakshai Vishnu had one white hair, one black hair, and he removed one white hair. When the Devatas approached Shirodakshai Vishnu, the Brahma and the Devatas approached Shirodakshai Vishnu that the earth is overburdened. Shirodakshai Vishnu appeared and said that, and he removed one white hair and one black hair. And he said that this white hair will appear in the womb of Rohini as Balram. This black hair will appear in the womb of Devaki as Krishna. So it appears that the Krishna and Balaram are the incarnations of the white and black hair of Shirodakshai Vishnu. But then this contradicts different statements. First contradiction is that Shirodakshai Vishnu, how can he have a white hair? That means he's growing old. He has a grey hair. Elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, Vishnu is described as Santam Vayasi Kaishore. He is eternally in a youthful form. Then how can he have a white hair? This is contradicting that. And then if the hair of Shirodakshai Vishnu is becoming they have incarnated as Krishna and Balaram, it contradicts the other statements in the Bhagavatam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, who is the source of all the avatars. So these statements contradict this. So therefore, Jiva Goswami and Acharyas, because I will not go into the detail. Jiva Goswami and Acharyas, how to understand the meaning of these statements in such a way that they don't contradict the Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam statement and the Santam Vayasika Ishore, how the Lord is eternally having a youthful form. Even the Devatas are called as Nirjara, that they don't grow old. If the Devatas don't grow old, then how can Krishna or Vishnu have a grey hair? So therefore these contradictions come. So therefore the Acharyas give profound, very logical meaning, how to understand the meaning of those statements. So why I am mentioning is that Shastras have to be understood with the help of a living, with the help of the commentaries of the Acharyas. The commentaries of the Acharyas are like the bathing gods. Shastras are like a fast flowing river. Common people cannot just have easily take bath in the fast flowing river. 2 days back I saw the news because it is so hot here. UP, North India is very hot. Everywhere it is hot. UP, North India is quite hot. So people naturally want to go and take bath in the river body. So in Kanpur, there was a news I saw. 3 children, they went in the afternoon to take bath and they drowned in the Ganges and they died. So when there's a fast flowing river, when people are not, when people are careless, when there is no bathing ghat, then common people cannot have access to that fast river. Therefore, you need a bathing ghat so that people can take advantage of the river to take bath. So the commentaries of the Acharyas are like the bathing ghat, by which we can get a easy access to the Shastras, which are like the fast flowing river, deep fast flowing river. So we have to, that is why this understanding is given by Veera Raghava Acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti. They give the understanding. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. And one more point is Bhrigu Muni. It is that he laughed. And that is why he committed an offense. But Bhrigu Muni is supposed to be a great rishi. And he has the understanding of Vaishnava offenses and all. How could they commit such offenses like?
Maybe this
He was
event
very
must have
sure
taken
and
place
not
before,
sure.
actually.
Huh?
This event must have taken place before.
I didn't get you.
This event of Daksha Yajna, Bhrigu taking part in the offense, it might have taken place before.
Oh, acha. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I just remembered, like regarding this correction, even Brahma, when Lord Krishna in Brahma Vihom Leela, he also did not correct Brahma in front of everyone. Like,
yes, correct. Indra also, Brahma also. We do public appreciation, private correction. Thank you, Mother. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much for everyone's patient attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
thank you, Prabhuji.